So, how are you? We're going to be talking about things that you need for your Distance Learning Advocacy Toolkit. And one thing that you might need are some big scissors to cut through all that red tape. And as I was starting today, it was like, look at the magic of green screen. These are yellow scissors, but on the blue background. So anyway, I get distracted. So this is, I think, an omen that it's going to be fun today and that we can figure out green screen while we're on live. And that could be a fun way to make engaging distance learning lessons, don't you think? So welcome. I'm so glad you're here with us today. We are going to have fun and we're going to talk about solutions to the many distance learning problems that we all are experiencing these days, right? And towards the end, I'm going to show you how you can get your own copy of our distance learning toolkit. You'll get a printable version. I went ahead and printed this one out, but stay tuned because at the end, we also have a wonderful giveaway prize. So I'm excited that you're here. I think we are going to have so much fun talking about distance learning and looking at how we can make things better for your child. So if you are watching us, give us a shout out, say hey, let us know where you're watching from. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of new viewers today. If you're watching the replay, thank you for being here. You can still play along with us. So today, when you hear something that it's like, I agree with that, you are going to give us a thumbs up. Or when we are going through today's show, if you find something that you absolutely love, give us some hearts. I always want to know what you're thinking. So hopefully you'll be sharing your thoughts with us in the comments. And look at this one. Here's a new one. If you hear or see something today that is like, that is a huge aha, I want you to give us a hashtag and aha in the comments. So we are going to get underway because we have a full show today. So let me get back here and I can share my PowerPoint. Add to the stream. I'm going to make it full screen. So I don't know about you, but this is what my dining room table looked like last spring when we were helping homeschool, COVID school, our 3 grandchildren. And your kitchen table might look like this. There might be a desk in the house that looks like this, where it's a combination of like, okay, balloons for our brain break today, some dice to do some fun math stuff. Lives have changed. Our houses have changed. And we are going to get through this. So I also had to show you this cute picture of my grandson, and this again was last spring when he was doing his first kindergarten Zoom meeting, and he was being very subtle, saying hi to his friends. So then we had a red letter day. I should have typed this in red. It was May 22nd, 2020, and guess what? We celebrated the last day of COVID homeschooling. Yay! Well, I don't know. Little did we know that some of that COVID homeschooling was going to continue this fall, right? It's kind of a mixed bag for many students. And I know as an advocate, I talk to families around the country, and some students are still doing pretty much, 100% remote. Other students are going back to school. So I wanted to start us off and see if you can tell us, let me show you here. Put a number 1 in the comments if your child is currently 100% in the school building. Put a number 2 in the comments if your child is 100% remote, and type in a number 3 if it's some of this, some of that, kind of that hybrid model, right? I'd love to know an update on what is happening for your child, and that will help us kind of tailor our talk today about distance learning and the solutions that we can come up. Hey, Trisha, she is here from Emmett, Idaho. And Trisha, I hope that you're going to chime in because she has a wealth of creative, wonderful ideas. She's a mom, she's an artist. So, Trisha, let us know. So Nancy in Colorado says, oops, I missed it here. Where are you, Nancy? I'll bring you back, Nancy. Lisa says 2, so 100% remote. Wow. Nancy, there you are from Colorado, says 2. And Joe, which is probably his wife, says 2. Huh. Lots of 2s. How interesting, huh? Sacramento, hello. I was out there for the Down Syndrome Congress, number 2. And yeah, Trisha, you have a little bit of everything. She has 3, 1, 2, and 3. Hurrah. So yeah, I know it just depends, right? Hey, Angela from Arizona, she says going back full time on October 26th. I know, parents, it's like this is something you want to celebrate, right? When your kids actually get back to the school building. I know. So thank you so much. Here's another 2 for sharing with us. So we have an idea that a lot of you are still on that full-time distance learning. So this is going to be perfect for you because you'll be able to get oodles of ideas today, I promise. So because I knew we would have a lot of new people today, I just wanted to give a quick intro to myself. I was a special ed teacher for 15 years. I became a parent of our son, Dylan, who, guess what? He's 32 years old today. So say happy birthday, Dylan. And I was a general ed teacher for 15 years. I was an adjunct university instructor at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, and now I'm a full-time advocate and speaker. So I am psyched because we're going to have a great day. Now, I showed you at the beginning, I have a digital distance learning advocacy toolkit for you. And we're going to talk why I think this toolkit is so important for you to have. This is a picture that is happening in most of your homes, right? Because you told me most of your kids are still 100% remote. And I don't want remote learning to only be thought of as kids on screen time. There are other things that our kids can be doing, and we're going to give you some specific ideas today. I saw this the other day, and I just loved it. It says there are no refunds. Learners cannot get their time back if we waste it. And, you know, I was on a virtual Iep meeting call the other day and just emphasizing how every day is so important for our kids, right? I mean, they cannot afford to miss out on quality education. And especially when we look at, we're coming off the springtime when a lot of kids hardly got any quality education. So we just need to remember that it's like so important for us to make sure every day counts. So Nancy and yes, so we got some happy birthdays. I know. Thanks. And to think that he's 32 years old, it's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, so, and I think that you would agree, right? It's kind of beyond. I mean, I think at the beginning of the year, We were really hopeful it would be for a short period of time. We were hopeful that there was a lot of professional development over the summer and that people would be more prepared for online learning. We gave teachers a lot of grace in the springtime. We still empathize with teachers and the jobs they have, but we have to take it up a notch for so many of our kids. And we can't accept only what the district is offering every other child in the district. It has to be individualized for your child, right? So remember, if you agree, you can give us a thumbs up. If you love it, give us a heart. But let's carry on here so we can get to some specifics. So there are actually 7 different tools in the toolkit, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit from each toolkit, and some of them will go into more depth. But this first one is talking about creative problem solving. And I chose this for the first tool because I think this is pretty much the foundation, right? I mean, we have to really try on some different thinking caps here today and throughout the year about how we can create something new and something different. And speaking of something different, I have this wonderful video. It's, several years old from Apple. So it's not a commercial message, but I want to show you, it's under 3 minutes, and I want to show you this video because it's like one of my all-time favorites. So cross your fingers that the technology is working and we'll see more than just a white screen, right? Well, we're seeing a white screen. So I might have to go to plan B, which is why isn't that playing? My plan B is to stop sharing that, and instead I'll share it right from YouTube. Because if we've learned nothing else this year, we've learned have a plan B. Now I need to share this in StreamYard. Sorry. It's like, come. Okay, let's see. We're going to go. Okay, so I want to know what your thoughts are about that, and I want to get out of and stop sharing that part of my screen. So let's hear some thoughts about that. I don't know if that was like as impressive to you as it is to me. But I think that's part of our challenge. So this is my thought. I think the challenge of opening up our minds, looking at other options, and being willing to take some time to create those options. So we're going to be giving some examples of cases in families that I've worked with, but I also would love to hear your examples too. So we've already had a couple people post questions about math curriculum, so we'll dive into that in a little bit, and then also about facilitated IEP meetings. And thanks for bringing that up because, yes, facilitated IEP meetings can be really helpful. And almost every state has them, and usually you contact your special ed Department of Education and they will set it up. There's usually no cost to the school and no cost to the family. And a facilitator who's a neutral trained person and like listening and helping people process, that can make a big difference. So if you've been having a lot of disagreements, I would certainly encourage you to look at asking for a facilitated IEP meeting. And even if you've just had one and you kind of everybody left with lots of disagreement, go ahead and call another one and ask for a facilitator to be there. So thanks for asking that, because yes, that can actually be really helpful. Kelly, I love it. Silver lining has been my ability to see exactly what is happening in the classroom and therefore to be much more informed as I advocate for changes. Exactly. I mean, this is what I really heard a lot of last spring. Parents are like, oh, this is what they do for the reading program, or like, oh, these math worksheets are the only things that are coming home. And so I do think there have been silver linings, and I think these will really make a huge impact on your child. So when you're having those down days and like really disgusted with remote learning, I think you are learning so much more about your child, and you will be able to have so much more really valuable input at IEP meetings. So yes, I'd love to know other silver linings that you guys have, because that's important. Yes. And Tricia is saying that she loves her facilitator. And yeah, and what's nice is that usually if you've had a facilitated meeting and it's gone well and you appreciate the facilitator helping, when you have a review IEP meeting, you might, even if things are going better, you might still want to ask for a facilitated meeting and ask for that same person to come back, because they have like some knowledge of the context of how things are going. So yeah, that makes a huge difference. And I get to work with Trisha's facilitator at a lot of meetings. Rochelle, how are you, Rochelle? She says, good things. Petting the pets in the house when one needs or wants to. Taking breaks when needed. Usually no commuter traffic. Exactly. And I have that as one of the accommodations in my handy dandy toolkit book that you can get today. As far as it could be an accommodation that your child had, and this would be specifically for distance learning, but for your child to be able to have that pet to, a lot of kids, that's self-soothing, right? When they can pet their furry friends. Yeah, and I appreciate not having the gas bill. As far as driving to IEP meetings, now I just can go into my office and turn my computer on. So there are some good things that have been happening. And yes, kids being able to take breaks when they want. I love it. Tricia says, I have also learned that my children's academic related behavior is a hot mess. And a trained professional must be their behavior interventionist. Yeah, and and I think part of the challenge with that, and I don't know a whole lot about like Medicaid, funding and all of that. But I have been involved in a few cases where there's been some, difficulties with how the school district has been using their Medicaid funding. Um, but from what I understand is that, if you have somebody like a behavior interventionist working with your child and supporting your child at school or at home during, all this COVID stuff, and if the district is billing Medicaid, they're billing for those behavior services because Medicaid doesn't pay for educational services. So there's this whole kind of fine line to walk. And Trish, you might have some other tips for parents as far as, how you get them. And I don't know if you can say things like the academics are causing the behavior, and so therefore we need to do some kind of intervention at the academic level. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Trish. And Christiana says, I love this video. I'm learning there is always a solution and an option to every barrier. We should never discount that any child can learn because maybe we have not found the right modification and creative solution yet. We just need to keep exploring other tools. And how right you are. I think yet has been one of those favorite words I've added to my vocabulary. Years ago, I saw a meme and it was like, my child is not doing this yet. And I think that is perfect. So that helps us. And I'm going to, throughout today, I'll share some books that I really like. This one is called Inclusion in Action, and Nicole Ericks wrote this book. She's been a guest on my show a couple times. So if you're interested, let me know, and I can give you video links when she's been on the show. But especially for people looking for modifications, her book, and it's kind of hard to see here on camera, but she has, and I'm trying to see something that's a little more photographic. She has a lot of ideas in here on modifications. And I'll share some other favorite books that I have too. But let me know if you want any like resources. I can type in later the links. So Rochelle says, meeting all of the paras educational assistants one might not have ever met before. Yeah, so that's interesting, right? It's like, you wonder why there aren't more connections between some of the staff that support your child the most. And so, yeah, I think whenever we can develop those relationships, it's going to be a huge silver lining. So I love you guys and all your comments. Tricia says, my kids have a BI, behavior interventionist, in the hybrid and remote learning contracted through the district. Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, so see, right there is an idea. And so I have another prop. If you know me, I love props. So that's a bright idea. And this is like out of that box thinking that I want us to do, as far as there are ways that you can have support. And I have a specific slide later showing a slide of a parent at home helping a sweet little girl. And those are the kinds of things that the district probably isn't going to offer you, but you need to know that they exist. And one of the key phrases I've been using at all these virtual Iep meetings I'm at is, one school has done this. Like one school, is the kids are on alternating schedules. And so they only go to school like a couple days a week, and then they have remote learning a couple days a week and one day of free choice. But on their off days, when they're not going to school, there are schools that are still having kids come, but maybe they're meeting at a picnic table on the playground. and they're doing some face-to-face conversation, connection. They could do some small groups like that for, direct instruction. The caution that I have with all of these groups that are coming back to the school building is to make sure that they're inclusive. We don't want to go back to the old days of segregation where kids were only grouped together in the special ed room. So that's a general caution that I have about groups going back to school. And Marie, I haven't seen you in a while. She's from South Carolina. She says, we're doing, oops, there goes my scissors. We're doing virtual curriculum in school therapy. 4K is still too young to maintain the attention span for online learning. Progress reports coming out next week, so we'll see how learning is going. Oh, cool. And Anne Marie, in my this Distant Learning Advocacy Toolkit, and this, you would get a digital version. I just printed it off to show people. But in here, there are some great videos about progress monitoring that you'll want to check out. So as I said in the beginning, there's 7 different tools in here. And for each tool, there's a resource page, usually several resource pages. And I give you video links about that, about that topic. If there are videos that I've done, you'll also get a podcast link. So if you'd rather do the audio, there's a lot of handouts in the toolkit that you can use if you're more of a hands-on kind of person. But progress monitoring is huge. You want it to be something that really tells you information, not just P for making progress on goals. And so sometimes it's really helpful to email the teachers before the progress reports come out and say, when you send home the progress report, could you also send home the data collection sheets that you've been doing? Can you also send home some work samples, even though you might be the one that has already seen those work samples? But you want to get some helpful information from the progress report. So yeah, we don't want just letters or numbers because that doesn't really help us very much, does it? Anne-Marie says she'd love to get the link for the book. Ask and you shall receive. So this is, you go to iep.today/getdltoolkit. And you can get early bird pricing until Sunday evening, so that's good. And you will download it right away. It's a digital copy. It's not a physical book. It's not a physical toolkit that I'm mailing to you. But you get all the information, and because there's a lot of color in here, it's probably good that you don't print it if you don't want to use up all your colored ink. But there's a lot of things that you can do online. And I made some of the worksheets and templates fillable, so you can just type right on your computer and you don't have to print it off. So yeah, there's a lot of goodies in there. So just go to iep.today/getdltoolkit and you will be set up. So thank you all. It makes me happy when we're talking and sharing ideas. Anne Marie says, I learned my therapist is also using the same curriculum, so it's nice to know that there's a consistency. Yeah, that is like huge. How cool. And one of the things I mentioned in the toolkit, but I think I could have maybe stressed it more, is one of the things that you can ask for is parent training. That can be written in your child's IEP. That can be written in your child's distance learning plan. So you can think about training like technology, like how do I use this Chromebook and how in the world do we get to Seesaw and Scholastic and all these other things? You can ask for parent training on that technical part. You could ask for parent training on math curriculum, because especially if you're 100% remote, and we had lots of people say that earlier, you, in a lot of ways, are your child's teacher, para, therapist now, right? It's not what we like, it's not what we want, but that's the reality for some of us. So asking for, I need some kind of information about how to use all these math manipulatives that you send home. It looks great, but I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with it. Or when I do this math sheet, or when I go through this math lesson with my son, this is what I notice. I don't think he has, some of the previous skills that he needs. What are we going to do here? So have those conversations. It's not that you just have to say, well, this is what the district is giving, this is what we have to work with. There are options. We want to think differently. Can you put the link in the chat box? Okay, so let me pull it up here and I can copy it. Thank you, Rochelle, and put it over here. Yeah, everybody's speaking the same language. Like I know a lot of school counselors will use, how's your engine running? And kids identify where they are. A lot of schools use the zones of regulation, where, students are taught to kind of identify, not only physical feelings, but emotions that are coming up and what they can do at different stages. So depending on what the school is using, and if you have a private therapist helping your child, have them communicate, have them talk with each other. The other tip I can share with you about release of information, this isn't in the toolkit, this is a bonus tip. When schools ask you to sign a release for information, as an advocate, what I always suggest to families that I work with is we add this kind of little disclaimer sentence there, that we want to make sure that if it's a phone call with the private provider, that the parent is on the phone, so it's like a phone conference call, or if the school wants some written information, that your private provider can give you that, and you can look at it and make sure it's something you want to share with the school, and then you forward it to the school. Otherwise, when you sign blanket releases of information, and the school will call a private therapist, and then the school will come back, and at a meeting they'll say, well, when I talked to so-and-so, they said blah, blah. And it's like, as a parent, you're like, what? They would never say that. So it becomes this he said, she said. So be proactive. I suggest you do not sign blanket release of information forms. Instead, add that little disclaimer that you need to be on a phone call. You need to be the one that shares written information. So there's your bonus tip for the day. And Rochelle said, yes, consistency is so important for parents and students. Exactly. Yes, it makes a huge difference. So let's move on, and I'm going to have a giveaway, because we should have more giveaways in life, don't you think? There should be more giveaways. So since we're talking about positive thinking, I'm going to give away a box of 64 different affirmations on how to love yourself. I love this. Sometimes on my shows, I've given away individual cards. So maybe I could come full screen. And they just have wonderful affirmations. So this one says, my mind is a powerful healing tool. So, this would be neat conversation starters at the dinner table. They can be something that you keep for yourself. But what I'm going to do is, I have a scientific way of picking winners. If you haven't been on a show before with us, I close my eyes, I scroll through the comments, I stop, and that person is the lucky winner. So let me go over here to the comments. I'm scrolling, and I'm stopping. And I stopped on, look at you. So is it Karina? So send me a private message, Karina, and give me your mailing address, because this is something that I will mail to you. So how exciting is that? And throughout the show, we are going to be doing more giveaways. And at the end, we have a really, really good giveaway. Misty, how do you get notes written into the IEP? So give me a little more information, Misty. So do you mean like getting a copy of the teacher's notes for the lesson? Do you mean having a copy of the meeting notes in the IEP? So let me know which scenario. It's important to know in your state what the state regulations are. I lived in Colorado for 40 years, and I was a teacher and advocate out there. And when I moved to Idaho, I noticed when I was reading the Idaho state regulations that it specifically says in Idaho that the meeting notes are not part of the IEP. And so you go, okay, whatever. But that is another bonus tip for you today. So if you are in a state where it specifically says the meeting notes are not part of the IEP, and as you're having conversations during the IEP, you hear somebody say, oh, well, we've got that in the notes. We don't have to put that in the IEP. And it's like, excuse me. In our state, it specifically says the meeting notes aren't part of the IEP. Would you please put that in the IEP instead? So those little differences can make a huge difference for your child, because we want to make sure that the school is accountable for what your child needs. And if that is something that is important, we want it written in the actual IEP, not just in meeting notes. And I would say, even if you're in a state where it doesn't say meeting notes aren't part of the IEP, I still really want everything in that IEP document. I don't like attachments because if I ask for a copy of an IEP, and a lot of times they'll say, see the health report, it's attached, or see the behavior plan, it's attached. And when they send it out, there's no attachments to it. And so my other tip is make sure everything's in the IEP. If you make a request for that to be written, and for some reason the team is, the school part of the team is refusing to do that, then the next step I would say is, please could I have your rejection of that in a prior written notice. So those are all. And these are like good advocacy tools and tips for throughout the year, right? I mean, it's not just with distance learning, it's just good advocacy strategies to use. Christy says, this is very informative and we appreciate your knowledge. Thanks, Christy. So did you give us a heart? Has anybody given us a aha moment yet? We're trying. And Missy says, like daily logs. I have a kiddo with dyslexia and anxiety, and I ask for behavior logs, including picking and lip licking, etc. Yeah, Misty. So, that is something that, you might think about looking at the part in your child's IEP that talks about progress monitoring. They'll say like how often, your the data is going to be collected. You can also look and see if they're using data collection. If they're only using observation for progress monitoring, that's a huge red flag. I think observation, you can learn a lot, but for the kinds of behaviors you're talking about, hopefully they're doing data collection. So look on there and see, does it say daily? Does it say weekly? I'm not sure you want to wait and just say they only do this data collection once a month. And then you can add, you can talk and have the IEP amended. And discuss with the staff that if you could actually see those daily charts or whatever that they're using, it would like help you so much. And so if they're collecting some kind of a data, recording sheet, I mean, all they have to do is get their cell phone, right, and take a picture of that and send it to you, at the end of the day or whatever. So it's not like it's asking them to do something that's going to take a lot of effort. So I would suggest amending the IEP, talking about, I would like another statement in, the progress monitoring part, that daily, weekly, whatever. I'm, given a copy of these data collection sheets. And they shouldn't have a problem sharing that with you. Sometimes I think they feel like, when if I mess up and I forget to do the data collection today. But I mean, we do, know that that can happen occasionally, but you want to make sure that you're actually seeing something. And then this is an insider tip. So if you see a data collection sheet that just has the same color ink, the same way of writing the checks and minuses, sometimes I see things like that and I wonder, like, did they just like pull this up and like write it all in? I know I'm a retired teacher, so I know there's wonderful teachers. So I'm not trying to throw teachers under the bus. But sometimes when I see different colored ink and different kinds of scratching and comments or whatever, then I feel more comfortable, like, this really is something that they're doing on an everyday basis. So I don't know. I mean, I could be totally off on that, but that's one inside tip you could look at. Brenda, hey, Brenda, she's in Illinois. My dog just came in. Our schools are just beginning to start coming back into the classroom. Do you have any suggestions to help children deal with anxiety as they return to the classroom? Excellent question. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, we do have to kind of figure out some transition, I don't know, activities, some transition ideas, because I think people, we get so focused on how are we going to make this happen? Teachers are like, my lesson plans, and the principal's like, what are we doing for testing this year? And they sometimes forget those basic human needs that we all have, and especially if your child has some anxiety about going back to school. So look at some of the things that might have worked for you before, Brenda, when your child, was going from the summer to the fall. Did you go in and take a tour of the school? Did you get photos of the new teachers and what it looks like? So I think for distance learning, if your child hasn't been back in the building yet, you might ask the teachers, can you take some pictures and send it home? My son's worried about like how many desks are going to be in the room, and, are we going to have, hands-on activities, or we're just sitting at our desk, or, so whatever you think your child might be anxious and kind of wondering about, see if there's a way that you can get some support from the staff and brainstorm with them. I mean, the other number one thing that I think is important is to see if your child has some ideas and some input, like what would make you feel better. And if your child is using if your child has a communication device, make sure that there's language on that communication device. So when he goes to school, he can say, I'm feeling kind of nervous. I don't feel well. I need a break. Or what's up next? Can you help me here? Whatever kinds of language that kids his age are using, you want to make sure are on a communication device. So Brenda, what do you think? What do you think kids might be most anxious about as they return to the classroom? And put that in the comments, because we have a bunch of people here that might have some very good ideas for that particular thing. Misty says, I don't think they're doing it all on her injuries to her arms are extremes and not being told to me at all. Yeah, so I think that's probably even a bigger conversation than just what's on the data collection sheet. I think it needs a conversation about, sometimes it's like, what do they call an injury to her arm? What do you call an injury to her arm? So when people are looking at, collecting data on behavior, you've got to make sure that everybody is seeing it from the same, lens and has the same definition. And then also, I think as a parent, we need to be able to tell them, like, this is really serious. This is something that, we really are trying to get a handle on. And if we don't know how often it's happening, if we don't know how long it happens, is it one, injurious thing that she does and then she stops? Or is it going on for, 10 minutes? So usually when you look at behavior, there's kind of like three things that you want to look at. One is the frequency, how often, the duration, how long it lasts, and then the degree of extremity, right? As far as how, extreme the behavior is. And so we want capturing all of that, not just, this happened 5 times today, but it's like, give me some context around that. But Misty, you might really, want to have a conversation. And I would, for me, as for, putting on my advocate hat, I would say that you would want that to be a formal IEP meeting, because hopefully you're going to be coming up with some changes, and you don't want this to be an informal meeting and everybody agrees to it, but it never gets in writing, right? Because you know what Pete Wright says, if it ain't in writing, it didn't happen. Oh, Lisa, this is good. So she said, oops, I missed, Christy said that they're on the hybrid schedule. Thanks, Christy. Lisa said, my son's big concern is germs and how to stay safe. Yeah, because, that's kind of like the number one concern, right? Why we're doing all this change is because of germs. So, Lisa, how old is your son? There are some good social stories. So if you need links for those, can you put links for social stories in the comments? And when the show is done, I can come back. Sometimes having your child having their own, like, what do you call it? That's sanitizer stuff that we put on our hands. Some schools are having more of those bottles around, but, maybe an accommodation for your child when they go back to school is that they have their own sitting right there on their desk. And then, you have to monitor that, right? Because, we don't want, your child overusing it and that becoming a health concern. But to, maybe if your child isn't back in school yet, but they're worried about when they go back and they're thinking about all the germs, maybe having a conversation with last year's teacher who your child knows better than this year's teacher, and have that teacher explain all the different things that the school is doing. Maybe have your child talk with the custodian. A lot of times custodians are great people to like team up and be a buddy to kids. Have the custodian show them, all the things that they do every day to keep the school clean and safe. But yeah, so if any of the rest of you have ideas about that, let us know, because I'm sure there's a lot of kids that are feeling that way. Christy says, my son is struggling, but his struggles revolve around a hybrid schedule. They tried to make it a routine, but to a child with ADHD or on the spectrum, there's no routine in a hybrid schedule. Yeah, and Some hybrid schedules are better than others. And the school district where I live, they've been doing, and now the board is thinking of changing, where you go to school 2 days 1 week, and then the next week you go to school 3 days a week, and it alternates like that. Most school districts are doing like, you go to school Tuesday, Thursday, or you go to school Wednesday, Friday. Monday is a prep day for teachers. So yeah, depending on what has worked for your child in the past, Christy, my guess is you're using visual schedules, and that still might be hard, but maybe when or if somebody at the school is making the visual schedule, maybe make it on different colored paper, so the schedule for, Wednesday, Friday, when your child goes to school, is, printed on green paper. And so without even having to read the boxes on the visual schedule, your child sees that green paper and it's like, oh yeah, this is a school day. And then for the Tuesday, Thursday days when your child isn't in school, maybe that's printed on blue paper and laminated or whatever. So color coding can be something that will stand out more. And then again, depending on your child and how much conversation they're willing to have with their mom, you could ask them, what else would help you? And say, it's something that I'm trying to figure out too. I think there are so many possibilities of what we can do with our cell phones. And see, with my green screen, it's like a magic cell phone. So, maybe you program in there a song that your child loves, and he picks a song that is going to be for Wednesdays and Fridays. And that song plays when he's up in the morning. And it's like, that's the auditory cue, and the music gets him in a better mood for like, okay, this is a go to school day. And then ask your child, what's another song that we could, play on the phone that would be for Tuesday, Thursday when you're at home. So color coding, auditory cues, using things that you have, like a cell phone. All of those things are things I thought of off the top of my head. So if anybody else has cool ideas about that too. Yeah. So Christy said they're going Monday and Wednesday. Yeah. I see that every other Friday is a thing. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, the other thing is if you guys have like a family calendar in the kitchen, is maybe have, certain stickers for the every other Friday thing, because that's going to throw kids off. I mean, it throws moms off, right? It's like, which week is this and who's going where on Friday? So, if your child is more of a visual learner, I would look at, things like that. I mean, the other thing, that a lot of teachers will use at school for schedules is, a specific schedule. They have, the pictures and they're on the laminated sheet with Velcro or whatever. They pull them off when that activity is done. They put it over here. So that whole concept of we did this, now we did this, and make it into the days, so this was Monday, this was, so Monday was a school day. Now I'm going to move that off the calendar and put it here. Something like that. Yeah, it's hard. And I don't expect parents to make these visual schedules laminated with Velcro. If that's something that your child needs as far as a specific accommodation for distance learning, then see about amending the IEP and putting that in there and having a deadline when that's going to be made at school. That's one of the things that paraprofessionals can be doing this year, which is really supportive, is for them to be making things like those at-home visual schedules, and then sending them to the family, because that's not what you need to be doing. Oh, shoot. Okay, so she said, well, visual schedule isn't helping, but I will definitely try your examples. Yeah, change them up. And other parents in here, chime in. Do you have visual schedule ideas that have worked? Rochelle says some schedules are confusing where MT is remote asynchronous, Thursday, Friday is synchronous, but for some, but for not all. Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And I know last spring when our grandkids were here 3 days a week and we were helping them with their COVID homeschooling. One of the things that I did was, I just used, the settings on my clock or on my phone a lot, because it does. I mean, it's, so 15 minutes before the virtual Zoom lesson is supposed to happen, you can have, an alarm go off on your phone. If your child is older and have their own phone, they can set the alarms. But yeah, and it's really individualized as to what's going to help who. But the more ideas we generate, and then what you can do, Christy, is like, okay, I got these ideas and now I'm going to kind of create, and kind of tweak them to fit our situation. Misty says we use a green, clean red, and not clean card that the janitor flips when he cleans my kid's desk and classroom to help her feel better about being in school. I love that idea. I already know I need to be making a second edition of our distance learning toolkit. So remember, this is something that you can pick up today, and I'll put that comment. I just love that. See, so who was it that was saying that their child was really worried about the germs? Was that Lisa? So yeah, I mean, that simple visual thing of flipping a card and knowing that, yes, the classroom was just cleaned. No, we're going to be cleaning it, later or whatever. That's a great idea. And this is the link if you want to go get the toolkit. I love all your comments and questions. Christy said, I appreciate this so much. I know. See, isn't it fun? We can get together virtually. I mean, Christy, you might have had an aha moment. You could type in #aha. But this is the power of community, right? That we're sharing ideas. And so if you're new, I do this weekly every Thursday at noon Mountain Time. A lot of times we have guests on. We've had people like Paula Kluth, Julie Costin, if you know them, as far as great inclusive co-teaching resources. Ross Green has been on our show before talking about, a new way of looking at behavior. But and then, Stephen Hinkle, I don't know if you know Stephen. Anyway, every Thursday we're here doing a live show. So set your phone alarm. Come back. Lisa, yeah, I set alarms on my Fitbit. Cool. So I don't have to worry about having my phone near me. Oh, look at that. You are so smart. That's cool. I didn't even think about that idea. Huh. Very neat. Yeah. And you always have your Fitbit on you, right? Good ideas. Yes, yes, yes. So let's carry on here, because we have more giveaways and we have some more ideas coming to you. So we're going to share my PowerPoint again. And we're on to tool number 2. Tool number 1 was that creative possibilities. And in the toolkit, I give you 8 different ways that you can kind of be more creative in your possibility thinking. And so tool number 2 is the one that we're going to spend the most time on. And we've already been talking about lots of great ideas for distance learning. So let's look here. This is a cute elephant. He might be in all my PowerPoints now because I love this little cute elephant. And it's saying that he's got some questions. So let's see here. Okay, IEPs and IDLPs. So, do we love our abbreviations or do we love our abbreviations? So, IDLP, do you have an idea of what that means? Some states have adopted this as their version of their distance learning plan. And the nice thing is they remembered to put that I in there. Individualized distance learning plan. However, just like IEP has an I in it for individualized, sometimes our distance learning plans aren't too individualized. So we're going to talk about that. So one of the things is what's kind of helped me, and it just, again, it depends on your state and how the district is doing things. But one of the things that kind of helps me in my brain is I look at IEPs that were written when we were in school as your child's in-school IEP. However, that in-school IEP is still your child's free, appropriate public education. And when we are in remote learning and you have some plans written as far as what distance learning is going to look like, that should be part of that IEP because we still have the requirement, right, that the school provide a free, appropriate public education. And so we always want to keep that kind of at our forefront. So here I said attached to the IEP, and I told you I don't like attachments. So it depends on how the form is filled, or, like on your district's computer and everything. But we do want to make sure that both of them are together. We should be using the IEP process to write the distance learning plans. Last spring, a lot of schools were just sending home the distance learning plan and saying, here's what we're thinking about doing. And there was no conversation or very little input from the parent. This is the fall. We are on a new track here. We are going to be making sure that you as a parent have input and that you play that important role and that you are involved in what that distance learning plan looks like. So make sure that your voice is being heard there. Also, in the toolkit, I talk about IEP goals and how a lot of your IEP goals can actually be the same. You don't have to necessarily do a lot of changing usually with IEP goals for distance learning. I think where we probably have the most challenge is when it's social goals and our kids have goals about taking turns, playing with friends, things like that. And that might have to be amended, tweaked a little bit, because in distance learning, they're not going to have the recess time or whatever. So instead, you can change it to, taking turns and learning to do that with family members. So there are some goals that are going to have to be kind of tweaked, but you also want to look at progress monitoring. That needs to still be happening even during distance learning. Accommodations and modifications, and we're going to talk about those more in a minute. If your child has assistive technology, to make sure that that assistive technology is also available at home. And of course, your service time. So many IEPs I've seen in distance learning plans is like they're cutting services in half for distance learning. And it's like, I don't understand the logic or the rationale of why you would cut a child's service time in half because of distance learning. So that's a big topic, right? And to remember that it's not only screen time. So this is a photo of a friend of mine, Heather, in Florida. And she does this great job of every day she's taking photos of what her child is working on, what they're doing. But look at this game. And in the comments, what are some of the skills that you think a student could be learning while they're playing this game? And it might be a little hard to see. There are cards with different questions. There's some dice. There's some colored chips. What do you think some of the skills could be? Karina. And so did you see, Karina, that you're a winner of the How to Love Yourself cards? So I hope you're sending me a message. Rochelle says, I think some of the individualized things would be beneficial for all students. Oh, exactly. Yet when we're in meetings for IEPs, etc., folks get so overwhelmed with so many individual items, boxes to check, that it overwhelms the teacher and staff. Yeah, and I think Rochelle knows me. So one of the big things I'm a proponent of is using universal design for learning. And we don't have time to go in that today, but let me know if you're interested in that. There are some great books, and I don't know if I have there's some great books on universal design for learning, but that helps us as teachers know that we can be making these changes, and it's not just for the student on the IEP or the 504, but guess what? It really helps everybody in the class. One of the examples I give from my teaching experience was when I was a second grade teacher, and I had a little girl, Brianna, in my class that had a hearing impairment. Wore an FM system. I had a microphone, so it went to her FM system. She could hear more, clearly. And we used to watch, this is how old I am, we used to watch Reading Rainbow videos in our class. And when it was like one of those things where you get from the library this big rolling cart with the TV strapped on it. It's like old time. Bring that down to the classroom. And I thought, shoot, I wonder if I can figure out how to turn the closed captions on, because that would be great for Brianna. And so I figured that out. We got closed captions up for the Reading Rainbow video. And guess what? I mean, that was a great thing for all my second graders. All of them, closed captions, reading the closed captions was a wonderful opportunity for all of them. And if Brianna hadn't been in my classroom, I would have never thought of that. But then from then on, it was like, yeah, we want to make sure we've got closed captions on. And this was so cool. Was it yesterday? Just recently, I had a virtual IEP meeting, and the mother has a hearing impairment. And they made sure that they put the closed captions up. And because I was wondering, it's like, are they going to provide like a sign language interpreter? But I wasn't sure how much signing she did. I know she reads a lot of lips. But yeah, so closed captions during your virtual IEP meetings, I mean, that could help all of us, right? So yeah, you just never know what happens. You just never know what good ideas are going to come about. Yeah, so Andrea says taking turns, colors. Yeah, so all those things could be things that your child would be learning. It's not a screen time activity. It's playing a game activity, but the kids are really learning a lot. And Nancy says OT, social emotional language, or math. So I'm not quite sure if you're meaning about the game, Nancy, or if that's a different comment. This applies to both IEPs and 504s, right? Yeah, I mean, 504s, mainly you're looking at accommodations, but if you need some specific accommodations for distance learning and your child's 504 plan, then you want to make sure that that gets amended too. Yeah, Lisa was saying taking turns. That's like a huge thing when you play games, right? Reading those cards. So we need to think outside of screen time and know that there's other things that our kids can be doing for remote learning. This is another photo from my friend Heather in Florida. They were making cloud dough. So for a lot of kids, it's like, I don't want to stare at a computer screen, but you give me some kind of a hands-on activity and I will connect and I will be excited. So keep thinking of other things. Another opportunity and silver lining for distance learning is that your child can be working on what I call like passion projects, or sometimes it's called project-based learning, or the Genius Hour, where students get to decide something that they're really interested in that they can dig into. So we want remote learning to also capture things that your child is interested in, strengths that your child has. I had a really fun Iep meeting recently, and one of the things that we talked about was the student is a high school student, very much interested in math and engineering, and yet is like not doing well in that class because it's pretty much screen time kinds of things. And so one of the things that I was brainstorming with the parents about is, let's look and see, does the high school have any clubs for like electronics, robotics, makers club, things like that? We looked on the website. No, unfortunately not. In our city, there's a really neat recycled museum kind of place where kids can come and build things with all kinds of electronic parts. They're not doing that as much because of COVID, but they still have Saturday classes that are open for smaller groups of kids. So one of my ideas was, I wonder if he could go there, get a collection of all this recycled electronic stuff, and he could put together different projects, and he could have like the model project. So when kids come on the Saturdays to play in this, electronic recycled lab, they could see some examples of what they could make. And think of how cool that would be for this high school kid. So on his off days, he has really struggled. And so we're looking at, let's forget about what's on the schedule for off days for everybody else, and let's individualize it. And he gets to spend time on his passion, creating, manipulating, engineering things at home. And that is going to be huge as far as getting him engaged and reconnected at school. Let's see. Yes, Nancy was talking about the game. Yeah, because you look at that game, right? All the fine motor stuff for OT and everything. Hazel says, my 3 boys are virtually learning full time. I'm redirecting my oldest, 12 years old, 7th grade, and youngest, 5 years old, kindergarten, every 2 minutes. Any ideas for how to help maintain focus? And so, yeah, I think that's probably a pretty frequently asked question, right? Because keeping our kids engaged is like, well, one, it's a principle of universal design for learning, but also it's like sanity for parents at home. And so I don't know your kids, Hazel, but finding things that are their strength and trying to teach them new things through their strength. So if one of your kids is a Lego lover, they have that visual book, where it goes like step by step of how to put Legos together. If that really helps your child, having a visual step-by-step kind of set of directions like they do with the Lego kits, then talk to the teacher. If there's a para in the classroom, have the para start making step-by-step visual things of, first you're going to, open up your computer, second, you're going to press the on button or, whatever. Um, so that can be helpful if your child is more that visual kind of person. The other thing is, you can, again, I'll just stay with the Lego example for a couple minutes here, but if your child would like to be able to kind of share his expertise with Legos, maybe he could take pictures of the step by step that he does to build a project, and then he can share that with his friends. And the teacher can put those photos together and make a class book. That could be maybe a class project. Everybody share, if they're Lego builders. So trying to find something that they're interested in, working on their strengths, and also, and again, it depends on your child, but I always want to encourage parents and teachers to ask the kids, like, what would help you? um, what kind of a system, what kind of a checklist, whatever can we come up with that would be helpful? Is it just wanting more of time with you? And so they're coming to you every couple minutes, or they're getting, kind of sidetracked. Sometimes what happens is kids on their tablets, Chromebooks, they can, just very quickly open the YouTube link or some other, game site, and that computer can be so distracting. So you can find out about getting parental controls where you can not have access to those sites. And that might be something that you talk to the teacher about. And most schools have like a IT person that can help with that technology part. So it might be, just making sure they're focused on the lesson at that time. But we have lots of experts with us today. So give us your ideas, guys. What do we do when we have to keep redirecting our kids every couple minutes? What do you do? Trisha Levitt says, I keep them in separate rooms. I allow the child that is most independent to do his work, but it really feels like rollerblading through the house. I bet. Yeah, so having that separate workspace, that can make a difference. But then it's like, how do you keep track of everybody? And you're like kind of rollerblading through the house to check on everyone. So yeah, it's a challenge, right? Um, Hazel says curriculum delivered via the school, which offers both hybrid and for full virtual. Yeah, and that again is something that we had talked about at the beginning. That's a silver lining for distance learning, is that we're finally getting to see all the curriculum that our kids are using at school because now they're using it at home. But make sure that when that curriculum comes to you, that you know what to do with it. So many times parents are getting boxes of manipulatives and supplies and fidgets delivered by the teacher, and it's like, great, but what do I do with all this? So make sure you have that understanding too. Tricia says rollerblades, but really I don't do school for all at the same time. So another great practical tip. When you have more than one child at home, maybe you schedule out your day so different kids are doing schoolwork at different times, so you don't have to support everybody at the same time. Trisha, I love it. Hazel says it's a combination of inattentive ADHD and finding topic, interest, or subject boring, yet they actually don't understand the material being taught. Yeah, so, I think, when things are really, at the point of, this isn't working at all, is when you need to regroup with the school team and talk about some things. And hopefully the teachers have creative ideas too that they can share with you. And to look at, were there accommodations that were happening in the school time that we can try to replicate at home? Just like some of the creative solutions your guys are finding at home, share those with teachers. So when your child does return to school, some of what you're doing for distance learning can be replicated for when your child goes back to the school building. But yeah, I would say that, you really, Hazel, probably want to, request an IEP meeting and say, we got to regroup here because what's happening isn't working. And you don't want that to continue for another day, let alone weeks to come, right? Because we just don't know when things are going to be happening. Tricia says, I start schoolwork for my early riser. There you go. First thing before anyone is awake. That helps. But when we had the behavior interventionist in the home, which makes it easier. Can you break up independent work to be done at different times in the day? Not all in one setting. Yeah, I think that's perfect, Tricia. Because we've got to look at, that schedule through the day. And I think as parents, a lot of times, the best part of day, time of day when to work on things. If your child really struggles with math, that's probably not what you want to start the day off with. I would say you'd want to start the day off with something that your child really enjoys. And that can be like a free choice thing, right? And just to get them into, that kind of learning mode. I know some parents have used like a colored basket system where they have, maybe a green basket, or it could be a box or whatever. And inside that basket are things that your child can do independently. And then you might have a yellow colored basket or box. And these are things your child might need a little help with, but they could pretty much do it. And then maybe a red basket where it's like, yeah, we need some, direct adult support to do this. And, you might do something like at the beginning of the day, hopefully you have a schedule from the teacher, what the lessons are going to be. And you say, do you think this is going to be a green basket thing that you can do all by yourself? And so we'll write a note and we'll put in here when it's science time, you can do that by yourself. Or, the teacher says we're going to do this activity today. Do you think that's kind of yellow? Or do you think it's red? But anyway, so you have some visual, concrete ways to kind of delineate. And again, give your child choices of, what they want to do, choices of the things that they want to do during break time, things like that. And Lissa says fidgets and changing the settings so that there are not 30 kids shown on the screen was huge. All right, I love it. It was overwhelming for her too. Helped immensely with only seeing the teacher. Yeah, and the other thing that you can do, I know you can do it on Zoom. I don't know if, Teams and Google Hangouts or whatever also has that, but I know on Zoom, when you go up to the corner and you can say grid view or just speaker view, and then you only see the person that's speaking. Your child should have the choice of turning their camera on or off. Sometimes it's really strange to be looking at yourself all the time. So you can also hide yourself from that view. But yeah, I love that idea of just, zooming in on the teacher. And because you look at all those little boxes, I mean, it's worse than Brady Bunch. It's like Hollywood Squares or something, right? And there's like so much going on. And, you see somebody's dog comes in the room, like my dog does sometimes, or the cat that walks across the computer. And all of that is hugely distracting. And I have like allergies in my eye is like really watering today. Um, so yeah, Tricia says fidgets are a great tool. And that's another thing that you can ask the staff is like when he was at school, what were some of the fidgets he loved? And we don't have anything like that. Send us home one of those. Those kinds of things you can be asking for during distance learning. If there's certain materials that really, clicked with your child at school, ask that they be sent home so you can use them at your house. I love all these tips. Tricia says colored basket sounds wonderful. Yeah, so take it, tweak it, find a way to work with your kiddo, right? Hazel said they're going on 6 weeks now. The school is structured so everyone has the same subjects at the same time. Sensory tools are now in the same learning room, of course. In the first week, they have also figured out they can just type one letter and Google Classroom allows them to submit nil work. Teachers are overwhelmed and don't check this. So I'm having to do so with 3 separate boys and 3 to 4 classes each. Yeah, I mean, that's huge, right? I think, we used to think our calendars were full when, one kid had soccer practice after school and the other kid had Girl Scouts and somebody else was supposed to be at the hockey rink or whatever. And that was like confusing enough. And now, if you're home with 3 kids and they all have different lessons and they've all got to be on Zoom at different times or whatever, I feel for you because that is like really, really stressful. So again, I guess I like using color coding for a lot of things. So that's my aha. Let me know what has been one of your ahas today. Is I don't know. It's like, do you have like 3 sets of timers? So you have that oven timer ding when it's child number 1's turn to go on Zoom. You have your phone playing a song for child number 2 when they have to go live. And maybe you have Alexa announcing when your 3rd child has to go live. But not all of us have all those devices sitting around at our house, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, you have to, you're the mom, you're the teacher, you're the parent, you're the therapist, and now you're the project manager of figuring all this out. So the one way that helps me when I have lots of things like this is to, make that master schedule and color coded or, have different schedules for different kids. So you and your kids can look at that at a glance and see what's coming next. But yeah, what are other ideas when you've got like several kids that are all doing different things, right? Let's see. Hazel says, yes, pen the teacher only is a common reframe. The oldest has an 8-year history of masking, becoming inattentive at school, which he now cannot utilize at home because I'm his one-on-one para. Yeah. And, like that is, like this whole thing of our kids learning how to mask at school environment and like how they can try to I don't know blend in or something. I don't know, but I mean, think of the pressure that puts on kids. And I think how many of us have kids that hold it together during the school day and then come home and it's like this total meltdown, right? So yeah, I hope that all kids would give themselves permission, and I would hope all teachers and friends and staff would also give kids permission to be who they are and not have them feel like they have to become somebody else in order to be accepted. And that's, one of the things, right? I mean, that's like paramount, that, sense of who you are and being welcomed as you are and not that you have to be somebody else. Um, yeah, it's so. I'm going to put up the link again if you want to get your digital toolkit. Like I said, I printed it out, but it's over 80 pages, so you can just access it on your phone, tablet, computer, or whatever. But there's a lot of, different checklists. Here's some examples of choices that your kids can make. These, like I said, each tool has resources with some videos and podcasts, handouts and books. So all of this kind of stuff you'll get in the digital toolkit. And because you're here, you get early bird pricing, and the price goes up Sunday at midnight in the Pacific. So we've been on for an hour and a half, and I love the conversation, and I'm going to stay until we all decide to go. But yeah, know that, if you've got other things, you've got a Zoom meeting coming up for your child, it's fine to, have to sign off. The replay will stay up on my Facebook page, and I also put the replays or the videos on my YouTube page. So you can come back and catch the parts that, that you've missed. And I do have some more giveaways, so I got to also get to that, right? And Trisha said, we made a sensory room at home for breaks. We use chewies and other fidgets if needed. It's really just hard. I always prep materials the day before, so I'm familiar with what we will cover the upcoming day. Yeah, so, having, and that could be a specific accommodation that you write in your child's IEP and or distance learning plan, is that you have that daily schedule at least one day in advance. So, do I need to make sure I printed out this math worksheet? Do I have to have the reading books ready for tomorrow? Whatever. And I know that's like, this is not what you should have to be doing as a parent. And I don't know until our kids go back to school how we can change that, right? And I know there are families out there that parents are working, and maybe the older brother or sister has to be the one that supervises the remote learning. I mean, there are so many different examples of, inequities, right? And so I love when we can come together on Thursdays and have this time where we can share ideas, because you guys are like generating a second edition of the Distance Learning Toolkit right here. So yeah, thank you. I'm going to go back here. And we're going to go a little bit more because, like I said, I've got some more giveaways. So then the other thing is, besides hands-on activities or screen activities, there are kids that would just rather do a worksheet, right? I mean, they like to see that, I physically get this done. I put it over here in my folder and I've accomplished something. So distance learning can be screen time. It can be hands-on. It can be worksheets. I don't think, we want 100% worksheets, 100% screen time, 100% hands-on. usually for most kids, we want kind of a blending of this, right? And here's our friend the elephant who has more questions. And he wants to know about inclusion with distance learning. And I get this question a lot for families. And so let me put this full screen. So I've got these 3 cartoons from Michael G. and Greco. Let me move the banner. So I want to know, what did inclusion look like for your child before COVID-19? Because that's going to tell us what we need to do during distance learning. So here the cartoon, at the bottom it says, placement of a child with a disability in a general education classroom is not enough to be included. It's just a foot in the door. So I want to know, before COVID, did inclusion look like your child just getting a foot in the door? Or did inclusion before COVID-19 look like the island in the mainstream, which says Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Cooper, let me see if I can read it, are still trying to figure out why Fred doesn't feel like part of the class. And there Fred is at the back of the room with probably a paraeducator, doing something totally different than what the rest of the class is doing. So before COVID, is that what inclusion looked like for your child? Or is inclusive education just a mute point in your school building? And here's a conversation, and the one person is saying to the principal, in your school, do you have inclusion students, inclusion facilitators, inclusion classrooms, inclusion programs? And the principal says no. And the person says, why not? And the principal's response, because everyone's included. So this school is at the point where inclusive education becomes a mute point because everyone is included. So for your participation, put in the box in the comments, did inclusion look like just a foot in the door for your child? Was it inclusion, but it really looked like an island in the mainstream? Or is everybody included? Because I think what we want to do is we want to see what level of inclusion your child had before and at what level they can be included during distance learning. So let us know in the comments and we shall see. So in the Distance Learning Toolkit, there are ideas of, one, making sure your child has an invitation to participate in the general ed classes and in their Zoom, virtual learning. Co-teaching is like a huge way of including kids not only at school, but during distance learning. So the special ed teacher or the para can team co-teach with the general ed teacher. And they can both be helping all the kids in the class. If one teacher explains, the science experiment and maybe the other teacher is, using the whiteboard on Zoom and writing down the directions. So you have the verbal description, but you also have the written description. Co-teaching can really help during distance learning. Making sure you've got your child's assistive technology at home. Accommodations and modifications, and we've got a whole section on that in the toolkit. The one thing I wanted to say about breakout rooms is what I've noticed is sometimes breakout rooms are more like they're used for, pull out and are still like segregated. So when I put on here on the slide breakout rooms and 14%, the 14% I'm referring to is the natural proportion. So, generally we have about, 12 to 14% or 14% of students in, a district, a school would have disabilities. So when your child goes to a breakout room, instead of just having your child go to the breakout room and meet the para in there, have the teacher put in a small group of kids. So your child is still getting those role models of how better readers, use expression in their reading and things like that. So breakout rooms is a great way for small groups to work, but don't have it overloaded with it's a breakout room for all the kids in IEPs. That's not going to help inclusive distance learning. So let's look at a couple more here. Partner projects with classmates. I mean, this is a great way for kids to team up, and you can, have kids work on different parts of the project themselves at home and then do some collaboration. If you use things like Google Docs, where they can comment on each other's, reading, writing, things like that, that's a way that partners can work together. And of course, that whole concept of universal design for learning. Phone calls, texts, Skype with their friends. We want to keep our kids connected with other peers, right? So having a way that they can do that is really important. Again, using Google Docs to share comments. Ask the students, ask your child, how do you think we could make this so you're doing more things with your friends? What could we change so you feel more comfortable when the class is doing activities? So always ask your child, ask the students, and ask them again. This is an example of meeting up with a class for a bike ride around the school or to a park. Seeing if the school does have any kind of, club activities, and they might be virtual, but there would still be a way that kids could come together with common interests. So in the comments, is distance learning inclusive for your child? Say yes. Give us a so-so, or maybe not yet. So let us know in the comments, how inclusive is distance learning for your child? And I'm going to give you a moment, and I'm going to take a sip. So what does distance learning look like? Is it inclusive or not? Then paraeducators, and I think we'll cover this, and then we'll kind of summarize what we've done today. But paraeducators and distance learning. So the biggest thing is you don't have to settle for what the district first offers. Look at this wonderful site. So this cutie pie is working at home, and guess who that is sitting next to her? It's not her mom. Oops. Am I I'm not sharing you the cutie pie. Let's look at the cutie pie. So there are paras that are going into homes to support kids. I've heard of examples from friends of mine around the country that have been able to advocate for this. I've helped families advocate for this where, maybe the child is only going for a couple hours in the morning, then they're spending all afternoon at home, and the para is going to the house in the afternoon. It's not inclusive, but it is getting some, adult connection and some direct instruction. So that can be something that paras could be doing. The other thing that is important when we look at how paras are working with our kids is to make sure they use this. It's kind of a teaching philosophy of to, with, by. So first, we do it to, we model it to the children. Second, we do the activity with the child, and then we gradually gradually release that responsibility and the child does it by themselves. And so this to, with, by model might be something that would be really helpful for parents to understand when they're working with your kiddos. And let's see, co-teach with the general ed teacher. And I've heard from a lot of parents where it's like, yeah, the pair is on the virtual lesson, but I mean, that's about all they do. That's not really helpful. And so any kind of co-teaching situation, you want to make sure both adults are actively doing things to explain things, to, check back with kids and see how they're doing. And so we want the parents to be doing that also during the distance learning time. And then making accommodations and modifications. I mean, we've talked a lot today about schedules and visual this and that. And those are like critical things that can make or break, a happy day in your house. So have paraeducators involved in making those. That is not your job as the parent. You're already having to do lots that isn't your job, right? Record stories for your child to listen to. That could be something that the para does, and that your kid would love it. It's like, I would love for Mrs. G to, read me this story. Record videos showing the different steps of how to complete a task. And then the video is there for your child. They can always go back and rewatch it. They can stop it at certain parts and then go, okay, and let me do this step, and then I'll play the video again and see what the next step is. Those are wonderful ways that your parent can be supporting your child during distance learning. And of course, going to the student's home. Breaking tasks into smaller steps. So the teacher has an assignment and the parent knows, like, there's no way that this child is going to be successful if we just say, do all this. So the parent breaks things into smaller chunks and makes sure that the child is successful with one step before we're asking them to do the next. And we're hoping that parents are also encouraging natural support. So on a virtual Zoom lesson, or, if the speech therapist is having a lunch bunch, over for communication kinds of things, we want kids to look at what other kids are doing, kind of model that, that positive behavior. Or it's like, I can ask my friend. I don't always have to go to this adult to ask for help. And then visual lecture notes. A lot of kids have an accommodation in their IEP that they get the lecture notes ahead of time. For some kids, a bunch of text isn't really going to be helpful. So the parent could convert those notes into more of a visual graphic kinds of notes. So this is talking about accommodations and if you need accommodations specific for distance learning. So the first step is for you to review the accommodations in your child's in-school IEP. The next step, see, I'm breaking it down. Can current accommodations apply to distance learning? And I'm going to show you a couple of examples. A lot of times the accommodations in your child's IEP are perfect and they can do the same thing for distance learning. So check that out. And then third is if there are specific accommodations your child needs because of the remote learning, then you want to amend that and have that in writing. So here's an accommodation Nathan has, that he'll have a sensory break before any writing assignment so he can concentrate better. Now, what do you think? Is that something that he could do at home for distance learning? Could he still have that break before writing? What do you think? Yes, no change needed. He can still have that sensory break at home. You might ask the teachers what kinds of things he enjoyed for sensory breaks at school, and also ask him, what would you like for a break now between this work? Your child might have an accommodation on their IEP that says only 6 math problems on a page, so he doesn't get visually overwhelmed. Now, when teachers assign math worksheets for remote learning, can they make sure there's only 6 math problems on a page? I think so. So we sometimes have to do a friendly reminder. The math sheets that are being sent home are like way too overwhelming. It's way too much on one paper. Remember, we have an accommodation that there should only be 6 problems on a page. At school, Nathan uses speech-to-text software such as Google Read Write for school newsletter writing assignments. Now, can he do that at home? Possibly. However, if this student doesn't have internet service, but he does have a cell phone, he could use an app such as otter.ai, which is OTTER.ai, to record the school newsletter writing assignments and then email those in. So like I said, some accommodations will still work perfectly for remote learning. Other times you need to have some changes. So let us know if you've got other comments or questions. Rochelle says, Para is typing up French notes with appropriate accent marks, sends us the doc we can edit too. So yeah, that's perfect, right? Yeah, and actually, Rochelle is saying Nathan for X amount of time for measurability. And what we were doing is these are accommodations, so they're not written as specific measurable for as we do for goals. But for accommodations, I like to have a little more wording to it so we can actually see what it's for. So if I go back a couple here, let's see. So see, here's, you might just see on an accommodation, 6 problems on a page. I like to add the verbiage of why we only want 6 problems so that Nathan isn't visually overwhelmed and he can be proud of finishing a page of work. So not only are we telling the staff that 6 pages on a problem is about as much as he can handle visually, but it's not only the visual overwhelm that this accommodation is happening or helping, but it's also we want him to be proud. I got a math sheet done. I can put it over here in the done pile. So when I write or suggest to IEP teams is to have a little bit more language in the accommodations so people actually know what they're used for. So keep your questions and comments coming. I'm going to kind of zoom ahead in the PowerPoint behind the scenes here because we have more giveaways and we haven't done them all. So let me do this one. I will share this one. So we want a drum roll. Drum roll. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to scroll through the comments. And one lucky person is going to win. Da, 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 da. One of my, hello, I am that parent. And if you tune in on Thursdays, you'll see me drinking water from this cup. So you'll get to win a hello. My name is that parent cup. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to scroll, and stop. And I stopped on Christy. Yay, Christy. I don't know if you're still here with us live. Christy, send me a private message and I will get a mug made or mailed out to you. So how cool is that? And I'm going to skip ahead to some more slides. There's a great section in there about emails, and I use this formula from Marshall Rosenberg about nonviolent communication, and in your district tool or distance learning toolkit, which you can get right here, there are, I think, about 9 different examples, sample emails that you can send about distance learning concerns. And so you can look in there. The template lays out the 6 sentences you need to say. And then I give you all kinds of examples of how to do it. But we're going to do another giveaway because you guys are awesome. So we are going to give away now a copy of a #1 best-selling book on Amazon, The Art of Advocacy, A Parent's Guide to a Collaborative IEP Process. So let me go back to the comments, and I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to scroll, and I'm scrolling, and I stopped. I stopped on one of mine. Okay, let me go back here. We need to pick somebody else. So I'm going to scroll, and I'm stopping. And Kelly, cool. Kelly, you win a copy of my book. So again, let me know your mailing address, and I'll get it ordered on Amazon, and it will ship directly to your house. So we also, I promised you a really big giveaway. So we're going to do that too. So let's keep going here. There's a section in there about giving your child more choice and voice. That's one of your learning tools. And there's also a tool on asking great clarifying and probing questions. So you'll get that in your distance learning toolkit. And there's a tool on keeping track of progress at home. You can just use your cell phone and your refrigerator, and it will tell you how. I also have more formal goals or formal ways that you can keep track of data. But basically, in the toolkit, and like I said, it's a digital version. So you can just keep it on your computer or phone, or if you want, you can actually print it off. But everything is available inside the download that you'll get. And there are a lot of examples of words to say, how to say them, how to stop accepting only what you're offered, ideas for inclusive distance learning, how paras can be helpful, and other step-by-step strategies that you can use. So the first tool is about creating possibilities, the ins and outs of distance learning. You'll get these. These are the sample emails and the 6 sentences that you want to have in your emails. Giving your child more voice and choice, progress tracking at home, and the last tool is do's and don'ts of online IEP meetings. So it sells for $14.95. However, that's not what you have to pay for. You get early bird pricing. It is only $9.95. And the early bird pricing is good until Sunday at midnight Pacific time. So I hope you will run over to your computer. You are at your computer probably, right? And go to iep.today/getdltoolkit. Okay. And so Lisa has a good question. She said, is a dual digital toolkit a one-time fee, or is it a monthly subscription? It's a one-time fee. So thanks for asking, Lisa. I do have a membership group called the Trailblazers. That's a monthly subscription. So if you're interested in that, that's a small group, and we do more in-depth, individualized training and coaching and support. The toolkit is just a one-time price. Thanks for asking that. So we kind of had a whirlwind going through of our distance learning toolkit. But the best part of today for me was that you asked questions, that you shared ideas, because I don't have all the answers. And I love when you can be here with us live and that we can actually talk about things that are happening with your child and your house and how we can be supportive of you. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to wish you a wonderful rest of your day and the upcoming weekend. And like I said, hopefully you'll join us again next Thursday at noon Mountain Time. And until then, I'm Charmaine Tanner, and I wish you well and have a wonderful